And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to The Bald Truth. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Great to be here. I did not color my hair, by the way. It's the lighting. But thanks for checking it out and noticing that there might be a change. Look, if you're new to the broadcast, don't know who I am or why I'm here, I'm a consumer advocate for men and women suffering with hair loss. I'm the author of The Bald Truth and The Truth About Women's Hair Loss. And I'm a guy who has been dealing with hair loss for the past 25 some odd years, which is unbelievable to me. Time fucking flies. But if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is a place where, people who are dealing with hair loss can come and learn and share and talk about an issue that society really does not allow us to talk about, unfortunately. I say this every week, and I'm going to say it for every program that I do. Hair loss is a silent epidemic of biblical proportions that affects just about every household in this country and around the world. Yet we can't talk about it. So this broadcast, this platform was created for people like me, for people who started to deal with hair loss and didn't know where to turn, for people who have been hit with this devastating disease of the spirit, who, may have felt guilty about feeling bad about it, or just didn't know where to go and who to speak with. Because maybe your family members don't take it seriously. Maybe you're ashamed to allow yourself to be emotionally affected by this. I know when I started that I felt completely alone. And I also know that the entire industry, or I learned this early on, at least at the time, was a complete sham. Things have changed, thank goodness. But there are still only a handful of products and services that can actually help you. And most of what's being sold in this insane $3.5 billion a year hair loss industry is complete bullshit. It's just nonsense. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Almost every week, I read some bullshit that comes out in, some local press somewhere about hair loss. Either it's about a new and upcoming treatment, or it's about a doctor who's promoting some bullshit on a local television station or through their local media, through a PR agency. And the press picks it up, and they make it like it's the greatest fucking thing since sliced bread. Like lives are going to change because of this new technique. Most of the time, whatever it is, has been talked about, even if it's reasonable and can help to some degree, has been talked about through different local media outlets and national outlets for years. Very seldom, when you see something in the news that claims to be new, is it new. That's very rare. This shirt makes me look like I weigh 5,000 pounds. That's my problem. Let me give out the phone number, 888-659-3727. I don't know what's going to transpire tonight as far as our internet connection, as far as the phone lines. I found out, and I told you guys last week, that it's basically an issue with the node that is in essence, feeding internet service, high-speed internet, to about 4,000 homes in this area. And around this time, the node is overloaded because everyone's coming home, playing on their Xboxes, doing their thing. And for whatever reason, I picked the place where they can't seem to fix this issue. So it may work tonight. It might not work tonight. I was not able to do the live show on Sunday. We were lucky enough to have something in the can so that we were able to put something out there for you guys. But I am working on it, and if Time Warner can't get their shit together, I'm also currently trying to work with another company to get actually something put on my roof to provide me with a much stronger connection to kind of I'm not going to say an off-label, but an independent internet company, which I think is going to be interesting. So we'll see what happens. But I'm hoping that Time Warner gets its crap together. We have a huge reach. And, I would love to say great things about them, but I've been having a tremendous amount of trouble. And frankly, for a long time, I kind of got the runaround. And it took a while before someone figured out or was able to was willing to tell me what the real problem was. 888-659-3727. We do have some phone calls. I'm sure Joe is holding on the line as well.
I'm on the air, Spencer?
You are.
You're coming loud and clear. Okay, obviously tonight, I'm going to have to dispatch my opening monologue, if you don't mind. I have just a multitude of news. But I do have one request. Could you please have your engineer play my opening theme song, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'll have my engineer play your opening theme song for sure.
Thank you, Spencer.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
excuse me. My name is
Would you like me to reiterate it?
my name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
my name is
Joe from Staten Island.
All right, Joe, there you go. So I hope you got something good for us.
Spencer, I'm utterly exhausted. I've been working all week, as you can imagine.
I can imagine.
Oh, okay. First of all, I'm going to have to castigate a certain group of people on the message forums who are stating that they're disappointed in the Allergan Phase 2 reports. If they bothered to do their homework like I do and really studied what the chairman had to say, but what does he know? He's only the chairman of the company. I mean, these guys obviously have message forum no more than David Picott, who was the chairman of Allergan.
Of course they do.
Biggest pharmaceutical company in the world. But what does he know?
Right.
Okay, let me just say what the bottom line is on Allergan. Then I'll get to the hair Congress, Spencer, if you don't mind. I'll need a little extra time tonight. That's why I dispatched my opening monologue. Here's the bottom line with Allergan released. Then I'll get to what David Picott, the chairman of Allergan, had to say on several TV shows. Allergan Phase 2 by Mitoprost studies have shown, yes, Allergan by Mitoprost does grow some hair. Some hair is what they used according to the minimal dosage of Mitoprost they've been using.
Right.
Their product is comparable to the 2 FDA products that are approved now. They didn't mention them by name, but they said the 2 FDA-approved products, which we know is obviously minoxidil and Propecia.
Right.
Which, in their opinion, is marginally effective. They could have easily gone to Phase 3 and had another product on the market within 6 months, which would be somewhat effective.
Right.
But to them, this was unacceptable. Okay? They are, okay, now this is unacceptable. Now let me get to what David Picott, the chairman of Allergan had to say. He's been on several shows,
All right,
including Jim Cramer's Mad Money. Go to CNBC.com. If people don't believe me, May 2nd, Google the show. He's been on several shows. But you guys in the forums, what does he know? He's on a chairman of the company. He has said he's very excited about what's happening with Phase 2B studies, which will be commencing in July on Mitoprost. They are increasing the active ingredient in Mitoprost by tenfold, 1,000%, which they believe will knock the competition out of the water and will grow lots of hair. Okay? This is what he has stated. Okay, they would not put. They could have easily made millions of dollars and put another Propecia or another minoxidil on the market. He said no.
I'm gonna interrupt you though. You know, I find it very difficult to believe, and I understand why he compared it to the other two FDA-approved products. But the truth is, I know that you did not get great results because you started using finasteride or Propecia very late in your hair loss journey. But I highly doubt that. Well, I'm not going to say I highly doubt, but I think that people really underestimate the true effectiveness, just how efficacious finasteride actually is, especially when you start using it early in the hair loss process. There's no doubt in my mind that it's because of finasteride that I am where I am today, and I know a lot of guys in my personal life who started using it early in their hair loss, issues. And some of these guys started losing their hair very young. They should have been full-blown Norwood 5s or 6s, and they maintained most of their hair. So, I mean, that, to me, finasteride is an extremely effective drug. Will it grow a full head of hair on a guy that's losing his hair, that's been losing his hair, for 10 years? No. It's very, very unlikely. I have seen a couple of rare cases. But to kind of compare minoxidil, to compare finasteride with minoxidil, to me is doing what I consider a really great, a really great drug in the battle of hair loss, a tremendous disservice, because finasteride really does work, and it works wonders for a lot of people.
Well, let me tell my nephew, who is now at Norwood 6, he's been using it for 2 years. Obviously, it didn't help his case.
Yeah, but when did he start using it? At what point in his hair loss? How aggressive is?
Years old.
So he started using finasteride at 17.
19.
And how bad was his hair loss?
21.
How bad?
Losing his hair, I put him on it.
And how bad was his hair loss when he started to use it?
He had a slightly thinning crown.
Okay. Well, listen, he's one of the guys, one of the 14% of the guys that had absolutely no positive results from it. What does that mean? 86% of the guys that use the drug have some sort of results. So I think that people really underestimate the power of Propecia.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not giving my opinion on Propecia. I'm just saying what the chairman of Allergan had to say.
Yeah, but, with all due respect, you have to understand that I'm glad that he's very confident in his product, but what do you think he's going to say? What do you think he's going to say at this point? Yes, he has an opportunity, and I think it's actually a really great move to kind of hold off and say, we're not going to try to push it through at this dosage. We're going to push it through at a much greater dosage, a much more potent dosage. And what do you think that's going to do to the stock? Just in anticipation, it's going to skyrocket.
Well, so you're an expert opinion. You don't believe it. In your expert opinion, you don't believe 1,000% stronger aminoprost will be a wonder drug.
I don't know. It's not that I don't believe it. I'm very, cautiously optimistic, but I wouldn't put that out in people's minds and give people false hope. It's to say that this is going to be a wonder drug just because they increase the dose 1,000-fold. In my mind, and again, I'm a layman, does not mean that it's going to be that much more effective for hair loss. Logically, you think that more is better. But we know in the world of hair loss that isn't always the case. We know that increasing the dosage of finasteride to 20 milligrams a day doesn't necessarily make it a better tool to fight against hair loss. I believe finasteride is dose dependent to some degree, but I think there's a limit. So increasing it 10-fold, or as you say, 1,000-fold. How do you get 1,000-fold? By the way,
well, 10-fold is 1,000%, isn't it?
10-fold is 1,000%. Don't make me do math, but yeah, I guess it is. Ratty, maybe you could
10 times the amount.
Yeah, maybe you could help me out with that.
10 times that is 1,000%.
But look, the truth is, we just don't know. It's great that you're optimistic. I want to be optimistic too, but you have to understand the source. That's all I'm saying.
Well, he's saying that he expects this. All right, let me get to the rest of it if you don't mind.
I don't
mind.
mind.
This will be approved in around late 2014, early 2015. He expects $1 billion sales in the U.S. alone on this. He said the market for an effective hair loss treatment is huge, to say the least.
Absolutely. You know, and at the very least,
guy.
at the very least, he's bringing a, really shining a strong spotlight on the market, which I think is extremely important for what we're trying to accomplish here. I am hoping that.
I want to just make a quick comment, Spencer. Like, you're talking about propecia and everything. As you know, I was chemically castrated at the age of 19 by Dr. Norman Orentrack. My DHC levels were virtually nil. And I had to go for blood tests and everything. I took oral estrogen and spirulactone. And I was a Norwood 2 at that point. And I progressed to Norwood 6. And I was chemically castrated.
Yeah, I understand that. And I know that for a subset of guys, maybe a greater than a subset of guys, lowering DHT is not enough. I know that. But there are plenty of guys out there who have really great experience as far as the cessation of their hair loss and even regrowing hair using finasteride. So to kind of liken it as to be as potent as minoxidil in the fight against hair loss, to me, is just inaccurate. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't mention these drugs by name. He said the 2 FDA drugs on the market.
I've known Joe for a long time, and I have never seen him get like he's a little upset with me. I hear it in his voice. He's got a little attitude in his voice. What's up, Joe? Come on. I can have an opinion too, right?
You're breaking up a little bit, Spencer. I can't hear. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I said I can have an opinion too, right?
I'm sorry. You're breaking up. You said
there
what,
we go.
Spencer?
I said I can have an opinion as well, right? I said I know we don't always have to agree on everything, right, Joe?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
It's okay.
You're breaking up on the phone, Spencer.
Yeah, go ahead. You speak.
No, I'm just saying what he said. I'm not saying anything. I have no opinion. I'm just saying what he said. I'm not giving any opinion on the propecia. I'm just saying what he said.
No, I know that. I know what you're saying, and I'm trying to explain that you have to understand where this is coming from, and that I think that it is misleading, in my view, to compare minoxidil to propecia. That's it. That's my opinion. And maybe you can't hear me because my phones are fucked up, and I'm gonna have to tweet this out again. I didn't tweet it out last week. Time Warner is really fucking me here. They need to fix this shit. I cannot conduct business. I cannot produce this broadcast. Can you hear me, Joe?
You're breaking up. Last week on Andrew's show, you were 100% clear. Now tonight you're breaking up for some reason.
It's a different day. That was on a Friday night. There are less people that go home to use the internet on Friday. They're out at happy hours doing whatever they're doing at that time during the broadcast. But on a Tuesday night, it is prime internet time. People coming home from work, kids coming home, and doing their thing. They're not out at sleepovers, hanging out, doing, they're at home playing their games, or, they're on their computers surfing the net. So it's just the way that it is, man. I am basically stifled because of Time Warner Cable. And it's actually a big deal. It's really a big deal. I'm shocked at the lack of customer service. The fact that I've been dealing with this for almost 60 days. And it's as though they don't give a fuck.
Well, I'm sorry, Spencer. I wish I could help you with that.
Well, you can't. Well, listen, I'm going to take a break, guys. Joe,
would you like me to get to the Hair Congress news then, or
yeah,
you would have to do technical problems?
Go ahead. You everyone can hear you. You speak and do your thing.
You can hear me, and your audience can hear me, so I don't speak?
Yes.
Okay, if you don't mind, Spencer, I know you have other callers. By the way, you look very, very rested tonight. You look very good tonight. The beta compliment. It was very, very good tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Face is very unbloated. You're very, 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 very good looking. I have to tell you that.
Thank you, and I appreciate the fact that you say unbloated means that I'm bloated often, but I'm not going to think about that.
You're not bloated. You don't look bloated at all. Now, speaking of finasteride, let's go to the hair conference. It's ongoing now as we speak in Edinburgh, Scotland. Histogen will be speaking tomorrow. Let me give you brief summary reports I have, okay? Adirond's will be speaking. Colin Yehoda will be speaking. Casarales will be speaking. Or they might have spoken today. I don't know. I have no information on that. This is what I can report to the audience, the information I have now. A Swedish firm has developed a topical finasteride. Okay, topical. 0.25% topically as opposed to 1 milligram finasteride. Okay? And it has a very deep penetrating agent. according to the company, I'm not saying it's fact or non-factual. Their topical version reduces scalp DHT by 71%, as opposed to finasteride, 1 milligram tablets taken orally, which, according to what they've stated, reduces it by 51%. Okay, this is something new now, topical finasteride, which could be available tomorrow if this is true. I mean, doctors can mix it up tomorrow. Am I correct, Spencer?
That's correct, absolutely. And then, we've been talking about that for a long time. There have been some doctors who have been working on different topical finasteride concoctions for years, but I think that this is good news.
Well, obviously, doctors will now know that strong by monopros works, so they'll be mixing that up shortly too. Do you agree with that scenario, Spencer?
I certainly do. Yes.
Okay, now
I think that doctors are going to mix any shit up that they can to make a buck, and if it works to some degree, then more power to them. 888-659-3727. Again, I'm sorry. I hope you guys can actually see the feed. If not, I don't know what to say. It is extremely frustrating for me, obviously, not to be able to do my live show because of Time Warner's fuck-ups. But we will eventually get to the bottom of it, and if I have to try to find, and I am working potentially with a kind of a third-party internet company to put something on my roof, then I will do that and hope that that works. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
The winner of 7 prestigious Golden Forehead Awards.
My family's always arguing. It always starts off innocent and then it gets vicious right away. So I was like, hey, looks like you're losing some hair. At least my wife's not a whore.
Spencer David Kobren.
I'm good at rocking, it's so hard to find, baby. Gonna make you sweat, gonna make you shout. Oh, your homemade loving done knocks me out, baby.
Hey guys, welcome back. I need to turn my mic on. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. We are back. Let's see what we can do about taking phone calls. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I'm Spencer Kobren, and this is The Bald Show. This is The Bald Truth, self-help radio for guys and, of course, for girls who get it. We are here live every Tuesday night, coast to coast and worldwide here on the internet. You can see us, obviously, through thebaldtruth.com, GFQlive.tv through the guys from Queens Network. These are the guys who produce this broadcast and send it out to the world, to sites like Ustream.tv and Vaughn Live and Justin TV, I think. Are we still on Justin TV? Yeah. And, of course, through iTunes Radio and Stitcher Radio and just about every online internet broadcasting resource there is. So I want to welcome all of my listeners, and I want to welcome my new listeners and my new viewers to the program. Usually things go a little more smoothly. I really apologize. Time Warner just crapped out on me for the last 45 days, and it just so happens that during the time I do my live broadcast is when the cable sucks here. I did fine, did some interviews this week, no problem in the morning, lightning fast. So please accept my apologies. We are trying to get this done, and we'll see if we can figure it out. 888-659-3727 is the phone number.
Well, Spencer, as you know, I don't consider gray hair a problem because to me it's curable. Just go to CVS. So one of the people in the chat room wants on your opinion on the alleged cure for gray hair.
Well, this is my opinion.
This week in Radford University.
All right, let me tell you about my opinion on this. What I find fascinating is, and listen, I'm the hair guy. I am certainly a guy who's not, belittling, who's not taking hair loss or, the way hair affects our appearance lightly. But the real story here should have been the fact that this is actually potentially a cure for vitiligo. Now, if you don't know what vitiligo is, and you probably do, Joe, vitiligo is a dermatological disease that was once thought to be an autoimmune response type of situation where people's skin actually becomes depigmented, usually in very
Michael Jackson.
very uneven patterns. You see it around people's lips, eyes, eyebrows, their knuckles. Sometimes it starts around their knees, and it can be an extremely debilitating, socially debilitating disease. It doesn't hurt, but it really affects a person's appearance to the point where their appearance could become quite odd, and obviously it's more apparent on someone who has darker skin, but it affects anyone who has it pretty adversely. So basically what they found was that they created this UV activated cream that basically repigments the skin. And what they found was it was repigmenting the hair, which also turns white, of people with vitiligo. Hold on for 1 second, Andrew. So to me, that's the real story. Now, obviously, the mainstream media, the press, is going to latch on the fact that if this is the case with gray hair caused by, or white hair caused by vitiligo, there's reason to believe that this could help with the common condition of depigmentation of hair. Your hair doesn't really turn gray, it turns white. And it's really the combination of colors that make it look gray. But the hair becomes depigmented as we age for various reasons. And they think that they're finding that there's some issue with, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if you read this, Joe, but an increase in peroxide development in the
Yes, I did.
Yeah, in the hair follicle. So they're actually able to reverse this using this topical preparation that is activated by UV light. Amazing. It's an amazing breakthrough. It's going to change the lives of millions of people who are suffering with the devastating disease of vitiligo. And I think that if they can create an application for typical graying hair, that's great. It's going to change a lot of people's lives. It's not going to really affect the hair dye industry to a major degree because, most hair dye is really sold to women who just want to change the color of their hair. So there will be some effect, but so to answer your question, I think it's a great thing. I think it's great for people who are dealing with vitiligo. I mean, it's going to change their lives and change the lives of future generations. And, a guy like me, like right now, I mean, someone in the chat room said I dyed my hair. I didn't dye my hair. It really depends on what I'm wearing and the way the light is coming through the camera. My hair is salt and pepper. You saw me in person a year ago, Joe. Would you say it's what, about 50% gray? White?
Well, my expert opinion, I would say it's about 30% gray.
Okay, well, I'm salt and pepper. To me,
it actually depends on the lighting, where you were standing. To be honest with you, look different at different angles.
Okay.
When you walk to different places to chat with with your fan stuff, it depends on where you were. It looks different.
Well, but basically, I have gray hair, right?
Basically, what?
I have gray hair.
Well, I would say minority of your hair is gray, not the majority.
Yeah, I think you're on drugs. I'd say I'm probably about 40 to 45% gray, not quite 50-50.
Well, yes, it was obviously that day, as you know.
But I guess what I'm saying is, I think this is a great breakthrough. It's a lot bigger than people understand, but I find it fascinating that the media latched onto just the cosmetic aspect of it for people with gray hair, as opposed to the tremendous value that this is going to have with people who are really suffering with vitiligo. People whose lives have been changed, for people who become recluses. Because, when people don't understand what vitiligo is, especially if it happens to a younger person, a person who's going, to school, whatever it is, some of these guys are kind of treated like lepers. It's a horrible, horrible disfiguring disorder that, depending on how aggressive it is and, how much of the skin it affects, it could really adversely affect the quality of someone's life. So I think it's a big breakthrough.
Well, the point is that millions more people are affected by gray hair, where a minority of people are affected by vitiligo. Am I right with that?
Well, you're right about that, but it's a larger percentage than people realize. And yes, of course, it's a much greater majority. Everyone will eventually be affected by gray hair. That's just the way that it is. So yes, that's huge. But they really discuss the vitiligo aspect of it as an afterthought. And I think that disrespects the enormity of this, dermatological disease, because it really does affect people in ways that gray hair would never affect anybody. I mean, I don't give a shit about growing gray. You always say to dye my hair. People tell me to dye my hair. I don't. Why would I? I don't care about going. I don't. All I want is the hair in my head. I don't care if it fucking turns blue.
But in my expert opinion, gray hair is curable now just for men. Whatever, something like that, a Grecian formula I personally use. In 10 minutes, the problem is solved for at least 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't like to dye my hair. I don't think it looks natural on most men. You know, as we age, we lose a little bit of our melanin, our pigment, not melanin, but we lose a little bit of our melanin. We get lighter and lighter. What was I going to say? Basically, you lose some of your pigmentations. You certainly your skin gets slightly lighter than it did, say, a decade ago. So what I noticed a lot of guys do is they try to dye their hair to what they consider to be their natural color, and it does not match their skin tone. So a lot of guys who are my age who dye their hair, I think it looks extremely artificial, and it looks like they're really trying to, almost in a pathetic way, hold on to their youth. Now, that's just my opinion, but that's not something I want to do. Listen, I want to hold on to my hair, and I want to stay in the best shape I can and, keep my skin in decent shape and do whatever I can to look as youthful as I can. But I don't necessarily think dealing with gray hair is a bad thing. It just kind of sets me kind of like in a different, chapter in my life as far as the way people view me. I feel like I've earned this gray hair. I've earned these wrinkles. And as long as I have hair in my head, I'm comfortable with it turning white.
But gray hair is optional. You could rid the problem within 10 minutes. Just go to CVS. Am I correct in that analysis, Spencer?
Yes, you are correct in that analysis. So,
well, a lot of people in one more quick thing, if you don't mind. So, a lot of people in the chat room are demanding I talk about the hair Congress. I've already given the information out that I have. The information will be ongoing, as you know, this week, Spencer, and I'm sure with your contacts, you'll have additional information for the audience next week.
I was actually thinking about creating a segment that we would do, a pre-recorded segment, basically where we would have someone from Bald Truth Talk message forums kind of gather a bunch of questions, come on and ask some of the experts, in the field of cutting edge technology questions from the forum. And there's a couple of people, I was reading the forum today, that I think might be eligible for this. And I think that might be an interesting segment that we could either add to the Tuesday night show recorded or just kind of put it out there online. There's a lot of smart guys online.
Thanks, Spencer.
Well, yes, including yourself. But there's a lot of guys out there that are not only smart, but they are, respectful of, the forum. And they kind of understand that, being negative and putting all this negativity out there on the message forums is not going to make things happen any faster. So there's a couple of real positive guys that I think are maybe someone that some of the guys that we may look to kind of get involved with this little project, and I think it might be a lot of fun for people as well. So I will speak to some of the guys that everyone's concerned. Everyone wants to get the information from the Congress.
Well,
what is that?
One question to ask. You can put it on there. I have one. I think your main solicitors have one question. When
is it over? Now, I'm looking at Boston B. I have to tell you that, and again, I have nothing against Dr. Negum, but I just don't want you guys to hold your breath. I really don't. You have to kind of understand the way physicians present themselves to the public. And there are certain ways to do it, and there are certain ways not to do it. I always find it questionable when physicians pander to the hair loss forums. It's one thing to be involved to some degree. It's another thing to pander to these, really desperate guys out there. Now, I am hoping, probably against hope, that Dr. Negum is onto something. However, if you look at the way things are presented on his own websites, through his marketing, and on the internet message forums, it's difficult. It's difficult to swallow. But I am very, very open-minded. So we'll see.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Dr. Negum is in Scotland now. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I am aware of that, and you told us that on the program. And I was reading the forum today, and I saw him post. So yes.
Well, I think I agree with you because we had the same experience. I've been with you a long time, as you know, with a doctor called Dr. Bazan many years ago. You predicted was a fraud. And you were 100% right on that.
Well,
I remember that for a fact.
I
was arrested.
Maybe I was a little less politically correct back then when I said the things that I said on the radio, and I made my prediction. But mark my word, I would have all these guys in the program if I really believed and if I really saw the evidence. And if I didn't think that by having them on my show that I might be leading thousands of people down the wrong path. However,
No,
I'm open-minded, Joe, and I'm allowing the conversation to continue on Bald Truth Talk, and I'm hoping that Dr. Negum can bring something to the table that is going to help a lot of patients. At this point, Dr. Negum has not showed me anything except the way he presents himself online. And I am hoping that at some point I can bring Dr. Negum on the show and say, you know what, guys, this guy's onto something, and he's going to help everybody. I really want to do that, Boston. But I'm not going to bring him on the program to call him out. I'm not even going to give him that credibility at this point because I'm allowing him to, I'm allowing the conversation to go on Bald Truth Talk. So let's see how that plays out. All right, Joe, I'm going to put you on hold. Hey, who's this? You're on the air.
Spencer, how you doing, buddy?
Johnny, man, what's going on?
Well, first of all, relax. Everything's going to work out. It's just a bump in the road with this technical problem you're having.
Oh no, listen, I do know that, and I appreciate.
I know you're
that.
getting frustrated.
It is frustrating, but it is what it is, right? I'm able to do my stuff during the week. I'm able to record my stuff, so in time we'll get this straightened out.
Well, it sounds like some of the news that are coming out of the conference there in Scotland sound encouraging.
It's all encouraging stuff. I knew that the information is going to be encouraging. I just don't want people to put their lives on hold thinking that, something's going to come out this week. 'Cause it's not.
When would you think some of the things that some of the processes that they're talking about, when do you think they would come to fruition? I mean, if any of them were to pan out.
I cannot give a prediction. Believe me, years ago I used to give predictions, and for the most part they didn't pan out. And my predictions were always based on the predictions of those who are involved in the science. We'll know, and when we know, let me tell you something, the mainstream media is going to know. The message forum is not going to rush it along. This program is not going to rush it along, unfortunately. We will know when everybody else knows. Now, I can get some information that might be information that the mainstream media wouldn't get until things do come to fruition. But that is just, basically giving you guys kind of like a heads up of what's going to be happening. But I can't give you, I don't know. I really don't know. I do know that, listen, Dr. Wesley is going to be presenting his more formal studies and his, the stuff that he's going to be presenting to the FDA, to the ISHRS at the ISHRS conference in San Francisco this year in October. I think that's exciting. I'm going to be speaking to Craig. I'm going to be speaking to Craig Ziering about what was presented with Histogen and have him on the program in the next few weeks. I do believe that we are closer than ever before. And you know what? I'm hoping it's only going to be 2 or 3 years, but I can't make that prediction.
What about Replicel? I know we made some, there was some discussion last week. Have they, gone to any other phases besides?
They're moving into phase 2 trials. I actually have a recorded interview with the scientists behind Replicel and David Hall. So Ralph Hoffman was gracious enough to grant me an interview, and he provided kind of like a whiteboard, informative interview where he discussed the science behind Replicel. And I will tell you that we are looking at about 2017 if everything works out.
Okay,
and that's here in the U.S.
Well, that's still better than someday.
Look, it's the middle of 2013. I mean, that's not so bad.
It's a presidential cycle away.
That's right. It's 3.5 years. So if everything works out, at least according to them, we can see something by 2017 here in the U.S.
Andrew will still have a full head of hair by then. He'll be rocking.
I hope so, man. He's flipping out over his hair.
I would be too. We are. Who am I saying?
Yeah, but he's flipping out because he thinks he's like, he's been watching the program for a long time, involved in the show for about 2 years, watching it for longer. He had a friend that was into the show. And, when I first met Andrew, he was wearing his hair just, all blown out, whatever it is. He started to comb it back, and now he thinks he's losing his hair. And I kind of think it's because he wasn't used to styling that way, and he's also older. He's getting a little bit of a mature hairline. But whatever it is, now he's considering actually doing PRP therapy on air, on camera.
Well, there's been quite a few success stories with PRP.
What's funny? There's some guys on the forums that are like they haven't had great success, so they think it doesn't work. I will tell you that I know somebody in my personal life who goes down 3 times a year, and she really believes that it was life-changing for her. And I know other people who really believe that it's helped them a lot. Now, this new study came out, I guess it was the beginning of this week, that was able to at least prove that platelet-rich plasma therapy can induce hair growth in people who are dealing with alopecia areata. And we're talking about significant hair growth. So we know that it works to some capacity. We just don't know how effective it is clinically in androgenetic alopecia. But according to Joe Greco and a couple of others who are really studying this, in their practices, they are seeing some significant results. Now, even if only 70% of the guys who used this, who had these treatments, had significant results, that's still a breakthrough, in my opinion. But not everybody's going to get positive results, like with any medication or any other treatment. So you're gonna see all the negative stuff online, but you rarely see anything positive, because I will tell you that most guys who have positive experiences do not continue to post on message forums. It's unfortunate. I wish that they did, but that's usually not the case.
Well, that's with anything. You hear more bitching than you do about things that succeed.
Well, that's exactly what it is. That's what the Internet's all about. Guys that spend time on these forums are either unhappy, which I certainly understand, or they've been burned and they want to get the word out there, which, of course, I understand that too. But most guys, at least in this world, who have had success with treatment, who are not interested in learning more about hair loss because they feel like they've successfully combated their hair loss, they're not going to frequent the message forums, and they are certainly not going to spend time posting. That's not the way that it is.
Well, and you have to remember too, there's always so many people out there with these copycat, miracle drugs that, they don't want to see anything successful either, because that's cutting into their profit margin.
That's true. And I'm reading the chat, and I see Joe's like, I had PRP, useless. And that's what bothers me about Joe. I love Joe. But what bugs me most about Joe is that he is such a fucking pessimist. The guy, Joe, you have been balding since you've been, for 30 years. And you had PRP with A-cell by a doctor who, we don't recommend here at The Bald Truth. And what did you expect? A fucking miracle? You expected to grow all your hair back? It's not the way that it works.
Well, if it did, man, we'd all be, jumping for joy.
Dude, let me tell you something. If it fucking did, you guys would go to my website one day and you would just see a picture of me with a fishing rod. And it would say, "Gone fishing, motherfuckers."
You don't fish.
And that's it. I would start.
Hey, Spencer, am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, with all due respect, you really hurt my feelings a little bit. You said I'm very negative. I gave a cavalcade of positive news tonight. How excited am I about Allergan, the Hair Congress, all positive news tonight.
Well, I appreciate that. You definitely are positive when it comes to that, but you're very negative about some of the reasonable treatments that actually could help people now.
What I'm hearing on PRP now is if it's given more frequently, that could be the key. That people are doing it on a monthly basis are having more success with it. Maybe that's the key.
I think the key is, people are actually doing it kind of quarterly, like every 3 months. They seem to be having some success. I also think it depends on the way it's administered. I don't think all PRP is created equal. And I think it's bullshit that these doctors who are out there promoting PRP claim that it is, because it's not. There are doctors who are just doing straight PRP. They're just basically taking your blood, putting it in a centrifuge, spinning that blood, separating the plasma from the blood and the growth factors, and then re-injecting that into your scalp, and claiming that that's going to help. But then there are doctors who are mixing it with A-cell, claiming that it's going to help, and I've seen some decent results from that. And then there are doctors like Joe Greco, who has basically kind of developed his own way to make a cellular matrix out of your own, body's resources, as opposed to using, pig's bladder, which is A-cell. And to me, he seems to be getting some of the most significant results. But there are plenty of guys who go on the message forums who have gone down to see Joe, and they're claiming they're getting zero benefit. But you got a guy like Marcus from New York, who has been, this guy's been through the mill, who has had multiple surgeries, more than probably anyone who's ever called this program. Scalp lifts, scalp reductions, the whole gamut. And to him, he's seeing positive benefits from PRP therapy. And I think he flies down to see Joe Greco. So, I think it depends on the person. And, you're so negative about hair transplants too. And look how many people are helped by good surgical hair restoration, Joe. You weren't.
No, my only negativity about hair transplants is if it's 6 or 5 or 7, the donor area will never be enough. That's what I'm saying about.
I would say that if you are Norwood 5 with strong donor characteristics, that you can completely change your life, if all works out, of course, with a couple of really good state-of-the-art hair transplants. Completely change your life. I'd say Norwood 6, yeah, you can, if you're comfortable with giving yourself a really good hairline and a decent mid-interior scalp, then yes, it could be life-changing for a Norwood 6 as well. I personally think that once you get to the point where you're a 6, 7, or 7, that, having a hair transplant is probably not a great option for you. So, Joe, I agree with that.
If we could just increase the donor area or body hair transplant somehow could be proven to work, I'm not negative on the surgery itself. I think it would be a major change in the whole industry. Don't you think if you had an unlimited donor area, a lot more men would go for hair transplants knowing they can get a really full head of hair?
Well, Joe, we know that, man. We fucking know that. Of course that's the case. And that's why when you see the stuff on the message forums about Go and Go, I mean, that's why there's so much excitement, because and it also shows the desperation of patients, because they believe that this is happening in the Netherlands. And, so people are very excited about that. So, yes, that is the Holy Grail. And if we're able to just simply double the donor area, then that's a big deal. But at this point, I am just not 100% convinced that whatever hair is regenerating from Dr. Go's patients is necessarily reusable. It doesn't mean that it's not growing back in the donor. I have seen some really impressive images. I really have. But do we know for sure that hair can be placed back into extracted, placed into the recipient area, and then regrow normally? We just don't know. It has not been proven yet to the point where it's 100% verifiable. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, though, that that's the case. And again, this is no respect to Dr. Go. Dr. Go knows me. He knows how I feel about the situation. And I told him, listen, I have no problem with his patients showcasing their work or people really talking about what's going on. I mean, Christ, we created an entire section of the forum dedicated to his work. That's because I want this to happen. I really do. But at this point, again, Joe, even though it's obviously that's the Holy Grail, you just said it, I cannot recommend anyone to go down and have that type of procedure, because I just...
Well, Spencer, one quick thing. You're breaking up. I want to let you know again. I'm sorry to tell you that. Hello?
Yeah. Yes. 888-659-3727. Let's see if we can take this call. Hey, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? Who's this?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Spence.
Yes.
Yes, Spence. Bob, Boston here.
Hey, Boston, how are you, man?
Mine really sucks. It's really breaking up bad.
Dude, I know. What am I going to do?
If you can hear me, I watched your hair transplant surgery this week, and it was very enlightening about the. It was just a regular strip procedure, and I was wondering if you got any feedback from some of your FUE surgeons. It kind of didn't seem like that bad a surgery compared to the shaving the back of your head and dealing with a million mothballs on the back of your head for a while.
Well, I think that's actually a really good point, and I know that you may not be able to hear me, so maybe you should listen to me on...
I'm hearing right now. You're
okay.
better now.
All right. I will tell you that, yes, I did receive 2 phone calls from guys who are doing strictly FUE. And
like Cole. You said you were going to have Cole on. You owe us a Cole.
Yeah, I do owe you a Cole. I don't want to have Cole. I don't want to have Cole on live until I can fix my internet. So, and I want him to be live so that you guys can answer, speak to him directly, and that he can be completely candid without any editing. And that's a promise. I will make that happen. However, unless he decides he wants it recorded, and then I'll just record it. But whatever. Yes, 2 guys contacted me. One guy believed that the stream was a little misleading because we didn't have the camera close enough to the person's donor area. And I'm like, what the fuck do you want us to do? First of all, I'm not controlling the camera. And secondly, I think it gave a really good perspective of the reality of strip surgery, how it works, how quickly it is to remove that strip well without transection, and how a great doctor like Dr. Sarah Wasserbauer, who is really good at what she does and very meticulous and a very caring person, is able to suture up that donor area, create a really great, beautiful, clean suture, enclosure that's going to leave a great scar. Now, this guy had the opportunity to have an FUE on the air live as well. Now, I don't know what the price differential would have been. I have a feeling that there wouldn't have been one at all, to tell you the truth, because he was putting himself out there. He chose to have
she's after doing that work. She's going to get. She owes you one. She's going to get a lot of business from doing that, because to me it just seemed like a no-brainer. It was just if you already had surgery, why wouldn't you just do that? You don't have to shave the back of your head, and from what I understand, you do get better grafts if they can. They know what they're getting because they take a strip out and they can look at them under the microscope and cut what they need. And
well, that's the advantage of a strip surgery, is that it is not a blind extraction like you have with FUE. No matter how good the FUE doctor is, no matter how much skill they have, no matter what device they use, the extraction is still blind. They basically have to go by feel to some extent and just by pure experience. There's going to be a greater transection rate no matter what people tell you. The data that's out there, to me, could be a little skewed, and it's not necessarily something that is kind of like blanketed data. It comes from individual practitioners who are currently in practice charging patients for the procedure. Now, again, I said this on the broadcast, I am the hugest proponent of FUE that there is. I am the guy, and I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. It's just the fact that pushed FUE into the mainstream, into the United States, and that eventually went to Europe. To doctors who were really resistant, who didn't want to do this. Ray Woods contacted me. He had this innovative procedure called the Woods technique, and no one would give this fucking guy a chance. No one. And I believed in what he was doing. Now, Ray, I don't believe Ray handled things well. He ended up being kind of like a footnote in the whole history of FUE, which I think is a shame, because I think he's a really good doctor. But, I'm a firm believer in FUE. With that said, I think you're completely right, Boston B. Completely right. A lot of guys out there who, once they see a live procedure like this and really understand that, you know what, I want to get the most bang for my buck. I'm never going to shave my head. I'm not hyper concerned about linear scar, and I just want to get the most densely packed and best looking result as far as getting my hair back that I can, and it's also less expensive. I think a lot of guys will end up going for this still.
Yeah, especially if you already had work back there. I mean, I just wouldn't see.
Well, I think that depends. If you've had bad work, then maybe guys would be kind of like, you know what, or if they had a bad experience with a strip, nerve damage or a stretched scar, they may say, fuck this, I'm never having this again. This guy actually had a good experience.
Kind of killing two birds with one stone because you're getting to cut the old scar out. That was my only point.
Well, I agree with that. This guy happened to have a good experience. He was actually happy with the scar. For some reason, Dr. Wasserbauer thought she could even do better, and I hope that that's the case. But, he had a good experience. So for him to go into the knife again was not a big deal. I think it really depends on the person. And I think, I think it's great now that at least people have options.
Yeah, no, on the Dr. Niggum thing, I was just saying, maybe if he just, not being like honest on everything that he's posting on there. Maybe all I was just saying was get him on, and if he sounds like that other guy that you kicked off like years ago, you might be better off just getting him on sooner or later.
Well, I didn't even have the other guy.
I did realize that I did read that somebody else was going for somebody from the forum was going to see him, and I just wouldn't want other people getting screwed up, you know what I mean?
And you know what, I appreciate.
That's all.
I absolutely appreciate that, but I also have to kind of handle this thing as diplomatically as possible at this point because, I am not sure. I am not sure if this guy is actually sincere. I just don't know.
No. I know it's. I've never seen a doctor start posting like that on your forum, but I don't know. He's talking about multiplication and regeneration. He does for some. Maybe he's like an evil genius or the biggest fraud that's and dumb fraud if he is, because if you expose him, then he's pretty much done. So I don't know. It's
well, you know what? I'm kind of letting things unfold. The way that it is. I'm letting the consumer kind of, question him. And, we're seeing some interesting stuff kind of unfold online. And, there may be a time when I say, you know what, let's have this guy on the show. Let's see. Or maybe I'll have you guys ask the questions once I get my fucking phones fixed. And I'll just sit back, maybe put him on Skype and let you guys fire off questions. Maybe that's something we can do. All right, listen, man.
Connection really sucks. Show was great, and that webcast was fantastic. I was just clicking around that day in my office, and I said, "Holy shit, what's going on here?" And it was very good.
I appreciate it, man. I really do. All right, take care. Bye bye.
Hello to all my friends on the chat: Ratty, Joe, Johnny, Tracy, everybody else. I'll talk to you in a couple weeks, Spence. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye.
888-659-3727, guys. I'm going to take a break. Again, we'll see if we can, take another phone call or two. I don't know. Can't make any promises. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Any of you that have ever felt stepped on, left out, picked on, put down, whether you think you're a nerd or not, why don't you just come down here and join us, okay? Come on.
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727. While I was on a break, I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do about these phone lines and about Time Warner Cable, and how I'm going to deliver this program to you guys worldwide during this time slot with these internet issues. Now, if I decided to do this at 12 noon Pacific time, I would have no problem. It would be lightning fast. No problem at all. But because there is a problem with congestion at the main node that deals with a lot of the residents around here, and I have a tremendous, I need a really decent amount of bandwidth to do what I do. So, most of the households will not even realize that there's a major issue. But because I do what I do, obviously, I'm the one who's fucked, and I'm the one who realizes it. So we were trying to figure this out. And Andrew's telling me that I can't use the service provider that I'm thinking about using, even though a major internet broadcaster is currently using them. One of the biggest internet broadcasters, actually, in the country right now. But I mean, listen, who am I? What do I know? I could be wrong. I don't know. It could be. I'm going to get the copper wires, dude. I'm going to get the copper phone lines. But what about my video feed? All right, guys, we have a couple minutes left. Let's see if Joe's still on the line or if any other callers are on the line. Let's see if I can take this call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello.
Am I through?
Yes, you're through. Who's this?
My name is Alex. I'm calling from Tijuana.
Hey, Alex, man. Welcome to the show. Can you hear me? I'm having trouble with my phone lines.
Yeah, it's either you or me because I'm driving here in Tijuana, so I'm calling from the streets.
Dude, that is awesome. So okay, so what can I do for you, man?
Yeah, I'm calling because, it's been a while since I posted. I go by Del Piero 1980 on the forum.
Who do you, what is your handle?
Del Piero. It's like the soccer player from Italy.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, and I posted some pictures from 2008. It's been 5 years now, and I think really it is right.
Oh, dude, you're breaking up, man. I can't even hear you on your cell phone.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm becoming a Norwood 3B.
Okay.
And since I was like in my late 20s, I was highly recommended not to get a hair transplant. And I, browse the website once in a while about
Dude, I'm so sorry, man. Your cell phone is breaking up. That's on your end. I can't hear you, and I would love to speak to you. I'll tell you what, dude. I'll tell you what. I don't know what to say. You can post your question on Bald Truth Talk. You can forward it to Bald Truth Radio and say that you tried to call the show, and I could see if I can get back to you, but I really can't hear you.
Well, if not, I can.
I hear you now.
I can. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I was kind of back on the surgery thing when I heard about the scarlet surgery.
Right.
Now that's something that caught my. I haven't gone into surgery because I was on my. I will be 33 in 6 weeks.
Oh, happy birthday!
I think. Thank you. So I think I waited enough time. I've been wanting to get hair transplant since I was 25. I was, highly recommended not to do so.
Well, I think that it's reasonable since you've been, in this world for a while and, kind of doing your research and you waited. I think it's reasonable that if you find a doctor who thinks you're a good candidate to, that you could consider a hair transplant, especially if you think that you're at a point where you're a good candidate and the doctor agrees that you're a good candidate. As far as the scarlet surgery that you're talking about, you're probably talking about Dr. Carlos Wesley, right?
Correct. Well,
yeah.
we have a certain. I have the options obviously on the IHRS.
Right.
I think it is.
Yes.
And there's 3 doctors obviously in La Jolla, which is close to me, and but they do the street one, and I don't know, like afraid of surgeries.
Well, listen, I understand that. If you don't want a strip surgery, then don't have it. You have to be fully prepared to have that linear scar. And since you have a virgin scalp, you're still a young guy, and there's other techniques that may be more palatable to you, then I would say don't have a strip.
Exactly. And there's a clinic here in TJ that they perform the FUE, but, I have my doubts because I don't know. I know that the FUE is a very, how can you say, unique technique.
Well, it's a very difficult technique to perform correctly. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And but even that one has the little scars, like the dots. And now that you talking about Carlos Wesley about the scarlet, now I think I'm back, into this whole surgery subject again because.
Well, I would say that it's going to take a little time before it comes to fruition, where he's actually performing the surgery. Full cases of the procedure. To the point where it's going to make a big, significant aesthetic difference. There are still questions about potential underlying scarring beneath the tissue. There's still questions about any type of potential risks involved with doing an endoscopic type procedure for surgical hair restoration. From what I have seen so far, it looks amazing, and I am not one to easily say that. However, I also don't think you want to be the guinea pig at this point. There are plenty of people who have volunteered for that, and you can kind of take a wait-and-see approach. You've waited this long. Now, if it does work the way as advertised, and from what I've seen so far it should, then I have to change surgical hair restoration as we know it. So I would just kind of take a wait-and-see approach. I know you're anxious, but you've waited this long, dude. I would say, surgery is always going to be there for you. So just kind of, wait and see what happens.
So you were talking about some dates that will be here at the end of 2013. So by that you were meaning that by the end of 2013 it's gonna be available to to the public? Or?
We're hoping if the device gets the approval that it needs, and that everything is tied up with the patents, and the procedure is working as advertised, then he's hoping that it's going to be by the end of 2013.
Well, I'm pretty excited about this. Hopefully, if that goes through, I think I will take the plunge. I've been wanting to have hair again for the last 8 years.
Dude, if I were you, honestly, and I tell this, and I know that Carlos is going to be fine with me saying this, I would wait to see patients after the end result. I would wait to see as many patients as you can, at least a few, to make sure that it is, as advertised, that it's no visible scarring, that the hair is growing the way that he claims it is. And there's no reason why, because the grafts really that he's been able to remove using this technique are extremely robust. They are chubby grafts. They are, they probably have the best opportunity to grow compared to denuded follicles that really are pretty common when it comes to FUE surgery. So this is kind of like he's able to get a hair graft, a follicular unit, as kind of the same way. It's going to be as robust as if it was being done by microscopic dissection, which I think is pretty powerful. But again, I could find out in 6 months that it's all bullshit. I don't think that it is. He showed me an incredible private presentation, and I'm not easily fooled. But you know what? There's always a first time, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully, I'm gonna be, really up to date with that. Hopefully, it's before I find someone, because I think as time passes by, I really don't care anymore. Like I used to in my mid-20s, it really affected me.
Right.
And but right now, as time passes by, I think I'm really starting to care less.
Well, I mean, that's incredible. That's the way it's supposed to be, man. That's why I tell people just to fucking wait. Just wait. There's a guy that calls the program. He hasn't called in a while. Vic from DC. He called a couple of months ago, and he probably, I don't know if you remember who he is, but he's a guy that was very interested in. He wanted to get, first he was going to get FUT, and then he was considering FUE because he has dark skin, but he was concerned about the white dotting. And I just told him right away, dude, I don't even think you're a candidate for surgery. Just the way that he was talking to me. And he waited like a year and a half, and then he called the show and he said, you know what? I don't even want surgery anymore. I feel comfortable now, and I'm cool with being bald. And I'm glad that I found the show, because if it wasn't for the show, I would have jumped into surgery, and I may have regretted it. Now he doesn't even want it.
No, he's right, and I thank you, Spencer, because of the bald truth, and also because I'm afraid of surgeries. I didn't take the plunge back in 2004 because I was 24, and I went to the hair club for men, I think.
Oh God!
And they wanted me to put right away. The guy was. So why do you want to wait? Yeah, I have an opening next week, and I was, well.
Isn't that something, man? Fucking hair club, man! Unbelievable.
They even told me to bring a picture of how I wanted to look, and I brought a picture of this Italian soccer player with a lot of head and a lot of hair on the top of the head, obviously, and I asked him, can I look like that, and he said yes. So,
and this was at the hair club. Now, was it the hair club? Was it in Mexico, or was it here in the U.S.?
No, it was in San Diego. I don't know if the office is still there. It was up in the Interstate 8 freeway, and it was back in, I think it was 2004 or 5.
Well, the hair club was just bought out by Allergan, who also owns Bosley. So I think all the doctors who were with the hair club are either going to leave, or they're going to be working with Bosley. And I kind of think that the business.
I also went to Bosley like around 2006, and they were not as pushy as the hair club for men, but thanks to the bald truth, I postponed my surgeries until today. So.
Well, dude, you know what, man? That makes me feel great, and I'm glad that we were able to help. And who knows? Maybe at some point you'll have surgery, but at least you'll be prepared for everything that's involved, and you'll know that okay, I made this decision, knowing exactly what can go down. So I'm glad that you called, and I'm so happy you got through. I think it's really cool that you're calling me from TJ right now.
Yes, I'm happy to got the call through.
All right, man.
I think you're cutting.
All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Stay informed. Stick with check out the show. We will keep you abreast of everything that's happening with Carlos Wesley and anything else that's cutting edge. All right, man.
Okay, thank you for taking my call, and I want to say I'm also a big fan of Joe. Even from Tijuana, we're hearing him, so I like his stories a lot, and I have learned from him a lot. So
that's awesome.
It's a really
man.
good show.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for the call. Take care, all right?
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
You're fucking famous in Mexico, dude.
Gracias, amigo. First of all, I was mortified. I thought it was ratty. But after that gentleman's compliment, I feel fine. I'm famous in Mexico, too. I didn't know that.
You're fucking famous in Mexico.
I hope the drug dealers will come after me, the cartels now.
I don't think that they will. I have a feeling that these guys may be listening, too, and they love you, Joe.
Even the drug dealers, maybe. They're sufferers, too, right?
Everyone's a sufferer.
That's true. Ratty advised us, I don't know if you were talking to someone, that he's calling in by Skype next week.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll see if he can call in through Skype. Maybe we could work out something with Andrew, but he should be able to call in now, man. Unless he's just he's too cheap to dial.
Maybe he's shy.
Maybe he's too cheap. Unless he's too cheap to dial the UK number, I don't know.
No, Ratty is rich.
I'm just busting his balls. I want to hear his hooker stories, and I had no idea that he went to go, and I want to hear about that, man.
But Suncast ordered us not to discuss that on the air. You know that's not true.
Oh, well, he could discuss it on the air. On my show, he could discuss whatever he wants.
Oh, Suncast will throw him out of the chat room.
No, the chat room is not. I don't own the chat room. But on my show, he can discuss whatever he wants.
Oh. He's not answering if you call the UK number or not. That's the bottom line.
Let's see who this is, all right? And then I'm going to go. Hey, who's this? You're on the air.
Hello, Spencer?
Yes.
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you, man? Who's this?
I'm good. So this is Brian from Los Angeles.
Brian from Los Angeles. What's going on? Can you hear me? I mean,
well,
I'm having
I
problems
just-
with my phone. So is it clear now?
I can hear you, yeah.
All right.
I just wanted to give some 2 cents on a procedure that I think is going to be up and coming for a lot of guys. But I was one of the very first male patients to have SMP performed by Hassan and Wong.
Oh, awesome.
Because as you know, they were experimenting with Milena Lari's technique, which is, for the guys who don't know, is the temporary ink, because I'm sure you've discussed on your show all the drawbacks of the guys who are doing it permanently.
Absolutely, yes.
But I had the chance to go up and get the temporary ink, and, you know, I've got to say I've never been happier with the way my hair looks. I'm 30 right now. I started losing at 17. I've been through 3 surgeries with Dr. Hassan. But, you know, even after the 3 surgeries, I'm one of those guys that still just has very naturally thin hair. And I just wanted my scalp to look darker, you know. I just hated seeing that white scalp in a bright light.
Sure.
And the SMP was just absolutely perfect for that.
But I'm curious.
You know,
I'm curious. Did you ever try any type of concealer? Because it would have seemed a little easier just to put a little Dermatch on your scalp as opposed to getting your scalp, you know, even with a temporary tattoo, just to go through the process.
Absolutely, but the thing with the concealer, I mean, Topic, when you apply it, you know, depending on how good you are at applying it, sometimes you could put too much, sometimes you could put too little, sometimes, you know, you put too much to the point where it just looks like you've got a helmet of hair. It just looks unnatural. But if for something that looks so unbelievably natural, I mean, I came back, I showed my best friend. Literally, in bright light, I parted my hair, and I'm like, look, can you see the dots? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't see them. It just, if you're really looking for that natural look without having to get up every day and worry about putting your Topic on, and you just don't have the time to do it, and honestly, I hate that stuff. It rubs off on my pillow. It's terrible. I mean, granted, it looks good. It can take a very thin scalp and make it look full, but I personally just hate using the product. And now with SMP, you know, I do not put Topic on the top of my scalp.
So who did the SMP at Hassan Wong? Who did it for you?
Oh gosh, I forget what her name was, but it was I think her name was Carmen. Her name was Carmen, yes. And I think she's one of Dr. Hassan's nurses. But I was actually there when Milena Lardy was out there training Carmen on how to do it. So Carmen worked a little bit on me. Milena worked a little bit on me. And, you know, the results, you know, I'll tell all the guys out there, no, I don't have a full head of hair. Am I much better off where I was before I did the procedure? The answer is yes. And, you know, the great thing about it is, you know, it's not like going in and getting surgery where you're sitting there, you're waiting for the results, you wait 3-6 months before you see anything. I mean, you go in, you walk out with a better looking head. And I mean, granted, some of it will fade over a period of time, and I actually had to go back in and do it again. But it's a significant boost.
Well, it's supposed to fade. That's the thing, and that's kind of like, okay, I like the idea that it is supposed to fade. I don't know where. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the ink is made of, and honestly, I don't know if it could be potentially harmful in any way. I'm not saying that it is. I would say that as far as SMP is concerned, at this stage, it is the only procedure that I would even say, okay, you know what? If you want to get this done, this is the way to go, because at the very least, it's going to, at least they say it's going to fade to the point where it disappears completely. And if you don't like it, you know, you could always get rid of it. It's going to just go away in a couple of years. You know, my concern is a lot of guys are getting it done, SMP done, and basically having kind of like the full Monty. They're getting their entire scalps SMP'd or tattooed. They shave their heads and they want to kind of get this, you know, this kind of stubbled look to their scalp. And the ones that I've seen in person, to be honest with you, unless it was fresh, have not looked great. Now, in your case, it's different. I could see using it as underground, camouflage, kind of like a quasi-permanent Topic or derm match. That I can see. But I'm still not convinced the guys that want to kind of create an entire hairline and kind of wear this kind of, you know, #1 look or less, and, you know, have their entire scalp tattooed. I'm not convinced.
I'm in full agreement with you on that.
Okay.
I'm in full agreement with you on that. And the reason is because, you know, hair has dimension to it. You know, even when our hair is really short, it has some kind of dimension. With SMP, you don't get that. So for a guy like me, you know, I wear my hair short, probably like at a #4. But, you know, just with, you know, having transplants and everything, still just a lot of white scalp showing through. It's still, to me, represented hair loss. Now, when I put some good thick glue in my hair, comb it back, the scalp that you see, you still see scalp obviously, but it looks like a natural amount of scalp that a guy with a full head of hair would have. It just looks a lot better.
Well, I think it's pretty cool. Now, do you have your pictures up on Bald Truth Talk yet?
I do not. If you'd like, I can post them up.
I think that would be great. Why don't you post them in the SMP section? Let people know who did it for you. And I am curious to see them myself. I saw Joe Tillman in person. I saw his SMP, and obviously I saw Spex's. I was impressed with both of them. I mean, if you look very closely, and I'm being completely honest, it kind of looks like there's almost like a dirt on your scalp, which is kind of the way that concealer looks if you look very closely. But if you look at it from a social distance, it does make a big difference, as far as camouflaging that scalp to hair differential. And it really does kind of lessen that lightness of the scalp. So I'm all for it. I think that if people know what they're getting into, I at least like the idea. At least like the idea that it's temporary.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, again, like you said, for guys who are just, maybe you've had transplants and you're just not completely fully happy with the density, if you want the look of more density without, more surgery, maybe you don't have enough grafts, maybe you just don't want more surgery, this for me did a very significant thing.
Well, I think it's great. I appreciate you calling in, and I would love to see your picture. So please take the time to post them on Bald Truth Talk, all right?
All right, you got it. Thanks for
everything. All right, bro. Hey, thanks a lot. Take care. Thanks for the call.
Right. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we're going to say goodnight to everybody. It is 24 minutes after the hour. We ran a little late because I guess the phones are working now, and I wanted to take a couple of calls. Joe, thanks for your patience, as usual.
Well, thank you, Spencer. Since the phones are working, why don't we extend the show by an hour?
I was thinking maybe I should start the show later, like at 7 o'clock my time.
Well, what time would that be? That would be 10 o'clock.
That would be 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
I remember years ago you had midnight on a Sunday night. For a while, remember that?
I do remember. That's the only time I was able to get midnight on Sunday night. That's where they relegated the ball. That's where they pushed the ball show. It was midnight on Sundays.
Well, I used to take a nap and I'd wake up exactly 12 o'clock.
That's true.
I'll say one quick thing. Years ago, your producers called me 1 a.m. years ago. They wanted me on the phone. My wife was not too happy with that phone call. I can't say what you said on the air. The FCC will conduct a full investigation.
Yeah, I can't extend the show. Andrew Zarian will have
I'm just kidding.
No, the guys in the chat room, he'll have a conniption fit. He keeps asking me. Keeps asking me if I'm done. I hold on. I'm gonna type him. 1 sec, dude. All right, guys, listen. I do have to go though. He's got other programs that he wants to put out there.
Can I extend the chat room? Show in the chat room for half an hour, Spencer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Questions of viewers.
Enjoy.
Maybe permission.
Enjoy, Joe. So right now, are you saying the phone is completely clear right now?
1,000% clear, Spencer.
Unfucking believable.
Since about 9:45, it's been actually 100% clear.
Kills me. All right, man. Listen, we got to go. Yes, you're right, Jerry. Midnight on Sunday night is the worst spot of the week. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. But you know what? At least I was put on the radio. Thank God. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had this opportunity to get this the message
that's
out
about
there.
15 years ago we're talking about. So
yeah.
No, that's about 10 years ago we're talking about, I should say.
No, it was 1998.
No, when you were at midnight Sunday nights, that wasn't.
Midnight Sunday night. Oh yeah, so that was 1999. That's right.
Right.
All right, got to go, guys. Got to go.
God bless you, Spencer.
All right, God bless you, Joe. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, man. I love you, man.
All right, you too. Websites, thebaldtruth.com, IHRS.org for the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. If you're considering surgical hair restoration, listen, I created this organization because I believe that, in general, the hair loss industry, the hair transplant industry, is not a safe place. These doctors have the most consistent track records in the entire industry. That's why they're part of this group. All doctors who are part of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons pay an annual screening fee. You guys know all about that. So the choice is yours. I would say that, honestly, if you're going to make a decision, this should be your first step. Go to the ihrs.org and then do your due diligence after that point. 888-659-3727 is the phone number, which I don't know why I'm giving out because I'm ending this fucking show. That's how crazy I am. Let me give out the message forum site, which is, of course, baldtruthtalk.com. Interact with other hair loss sufferers, learn from each other, share ideas. Also, take some of what's put out there with a grain of salt. Also realize that it is the internet. You never know where information is coming from. So really, it is up to you to do your own research. That's baldtruthtalk.com. And, of course, the American Hair Loss Association at americanhairloss.org. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.